We've been nice to the police for decades, generations. We've been playing nice with them, and they're not coming out, and they're not standing up, and they're not arresting their criminal thug partners. And I don't know where in this country, except for maybe the tiny town that has only one cop, where there isn't corruption, where they don't support each other. So, you know, I don't believe that there's good cops. If there's good cops, they come out, and when they come out, they get killed. I think that there's decent cops where they're decent people deep down inside, but they sell out their values to do unethical acts. And so I appreciate that Oath Keepers reaches out to them. I appreciate the Cop Block reaches out to them.
Yeah, I do too.
But at the end, I am not going to participate in supporting, pushing forth any rhetoric that there are peace officers or that there's good officers and that we need to support them because they're not coming out.
I agree. They're cowards.
Yeah, they are cowards. And I said, when a hero cop comes out, I will celebrate him to the same degree that I've ever attacked a bad cop. I've never seen a cop turn on his partner who's committing a felony act and arrest him on the spot.
I just wanted to say I sort of support both approaches. I think if you first try to appeal to someone's rationality and morality, if that can get through to them, great. If not, I think it is totally important that they feel the anger and the condemnation and the frustration and the hatred. Because, if you compare it to slave days, if the people hunting down the slaves were hated by absolutely everybody, maybe they'll get a new job. So I think there's actually a good, valid reason when morality and reason doesn't work, to resort to calling them fascist pigs and let them know we hate you because you're evil. And if they never hear that from anybody, they can be comfortable being thugs. If they hear it everywhere, they're going to maybe think about it, and even if they're not good enough to do the right thing, they'll just leave the stressful position of having everybody hate them.
When they're hitting women in Oakland, we go, this is why we call you pigs, and we chant that.
Yeah.
I was just wanting to say that with name calling, I'm not entirely against it, but it has to be in line with the truth and with the philosophy we espouse. So pigs is just a derogatory term. So when you have a conversation with someone who has disdain for the system and you call them cops pigs, well, you'll have that conversation, but you won't really get anywhere. But when you call them an economic parasite or a hired goon for the human extortion racket, then you can have that conversation. And
yeah, you're calling them out for what they are.
For exactly what they are.
And it's a harder thing for them to take home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's not get lost in the pig thing. But it's a stance. It's not. I don't know the last time I called a cop a pig. Really, it's been since 2009. I'm just making a position that we are not. We're not expecting them to change. We're not worried about them changing.
He was responding to the claim of peace officer.
Yeah, peace officers.
Right. Pigs is better than police officers.
Yeah, I do. Do your organizations do any work spreading awareness about jury nullification?
Well, Cop Block is decentralized, but many people have, advocated, or I've refused plea deals. I've also, advocated jury nullification at trials. There's been plenty of stories where folks have tried similar things that is shared at Cop Block. It's definitely something that's been highlighted there as well.
Yeah, we have a resources page that has a featured document, like a good post about it, and with some links, and a library that has a couple of related links, and an allied page that lists, links to the feature folks and stuff. So, and if you just do a search of it, there's a lot of good info on there for related works.
I think one really effective way of targeting the ones that really need to be quote-unquote called pigs is to do what Father Frank Martinez did in New York. He organized people to go after that 5% or whoever, the really, really bad cops, the ones that are killing people, that are beating people. Cops are like anybody else. 5% are really evil, 5% are actually pretty good, and everybody else just kind of goes with the flow. So what he did was they would call a demonstration at the home of the cop that was leading the abuse. And as soon as he did that, they got results. From then on, all they would have to do is say, we're going to be doing this, and then the cop that was beating people up would be reassigned somewhere to a desk job. So I actually thought we should do this on a large scale. I proposed the idea of wheretheylive.org, calling for peaceful demonstrations at the houses of egregious abusers with impunity. Have you guys ever done this, or would you be interested in it?
In Keene, New Hampshire, we have had like candlelight visuals and other like demonstrations outside of people's homes after they've aggressed upon folks.
Yeah, after Derek J. Horton was knocked off the bike by Fenton P. Moore, who wears a Keene PD badge, went to the neighborhood of Fenton P. Moore and like sang a song outside. You know, they were looking out from their windows. You know, it was clear they weren't proud of his actions. But then myself and Kelly Voluntaries went to some of his neighbors' houses and just said, hey, by the way, I want to let you know what your neighbor did earlier today to our friend. Go to this site if you want, watch this video, and see for yourself. So I thought that was really effective and targeted. So.
Yeah, I like how you guys in your town, like, you see your politicians, the people that are making all these messed up choices are like right in front of you, and you really have an opportunity to call them out. I think that's awesome. Like in Oakland, they don't live there. They live in Dublin or Pete. You know, they live far. They're in the sticks. So
I lived in Oakland.
oh yes, you see what I'm talking about. They're like they're over the hill, and that's that kind of.
What do you think about the cameras in Piedmont now?
Yeah. Oh yeah, all over. Yeah, they've got cameras on their chests. It's a whole other world right now.
Did you have any feedback from the neighbors you talked to? Positive, negative?
Those specific neighbors, you know, it was in a circle in a cul-de-sac, so it wasn't a number of houses. It was probably like 8 to 10 houses, but I haven't heard from any of them specifically. But a lot of them did seem like, you know, like curious, receptive. You know, they were watching us from out the window initially, and then when we walked up, they seemed like cautiously like, what's going on? And they took it, but they seemed curious. So we did see like 10 minutes after we visited one house, you know, through the window, someone was like, you know, as we're walking away, they're like logging onto that website to free Keene and watch it. So yeah, it's pretty good. So I think it's in the net it was positive, worth the time. At least if one neighbor saw it, they'll talk to each other.
The great thing about personalizing like that is you're not going to necessarily get any justice through that person, but it serves as a warning signal to all the other cops. So they realize that once they screw with someone in that community, you know, and the people find out about it, that they'll come after them as well, then that can modify their behavior.
Yeah, one reaction to this was one of a wife of a police employee in another town was like, I can't believe they're doing this to these brave people in Keene. We need to like outlaw this, and how come this is allowed? And so it was really, I mean, it just shows if you didn't know that the person involved that tackled and hit Derek J. Horton had a badge on, but you just knew the facts, this dude's riding his bike and this incident happens, you'd be like, hey, this dude was clearly the aggressor. So the fact that his colleagues, like a friend's wife or whatever, has an issue with people going, hey man, that's kind of messed up and watch out for this guy, he's kind of a predator, like that's called out and that's questioned, like that really shows how the conversation skewed this way. This is that paradigm that is thrust on us by the gun-run schools and the mainstream media. So the more we can stop using language like conflating legislation to be law, we say, hey, they just passed a new law, that like just like lessens the validity of what real law is, and we all pretty much know what that is. You know, like the oversoul is what Emerson might describe it as. But I mean, essentially, once that's made clear, then you know, I think it can have pretty significant impact.
You have a question?
Well, I just wanted to say